You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jordan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Boom! That's exactly it.
Do that. Let's do that.
It's that time again.
I'm still racking my brain to think who was the person that didn't raise their arms.
Oh, that's good trivia right there for all of the Dan Jordan live fans, both of you. Yeah. This is the best trivia ever, which is there. You know, when we do this intro video, obviously it's arms in the air. You're the arms in the air guy, right? And so. Yes. Everybody, when they come on the show, including our guest today, which I'm stoked about, comes on and it's boom, arms in the air. That's how you get it started. But there was one guest, Dan.
He just wouldn't
one guest that didn't do it.
Oh.
Even after you said, hey, you know, hey, this is what we do.
Was it Doug Lehman?
Let's let the people guess. Okay. And if they get it right, Dan, what do they get? We got to give them a prize.
They get a prize. If they get it right, they'll get, from our sponsors.
Here we go.
From our sponsors, Blue Parrot, I have one left of this awesome phone, awesome headset. Oh, you see? That's right. The Parrot. Now, you have the 550, which is 100 more than my 450.
Yeah. What is the difference between the 450 and the 550, Dan?
They can walkie-talkie between each other. It's pretty nifty. It's really cool. It's unbelievable. So you can walkie-talkie with our next guest because he was a winner of our last contest that we had. You know, I'm starting to get some sponsors for these things. Another one is Sales Flare. We're doing a seminar tomorrow with Sales Flare. They're a CRM company. And the problem is it's sold out. You know, it's with these Zoom things, if they don't have certain things, it's only 100 people at a time. So we literally sold out. Tomorrow's, we're going to get a little glimpse of it today, but tomorrow's going to be very special for lucky people. But the guy, Buckhorn.
Patrick Tinney, I don't think he ever put his arms down the entire time. Like Tinney was like, okay, I have to put my arms up, and he just left them up for 40. No, he didn't. He didn't. But he's so here's his guess. Bob Berg.
Was he correct?
Incorrect.
Oh, look at that. Hey, you only get one guest there, Patrick Tinney. But I want to get our guest on because I had a little conversation with him earlier this week. And just like most sales calls and just like most experiences, he's so much more than he portrays. So bring him on.
Yeah, please welcome to Dan Jordan Live, the one and the only president of Primeau Furniture Sales. And of course, you know him as the host of the Pete Primeau Show and our good friend, Mr. Pete Primeau. Welcome, Pete.
Yes! I made it. I've arrived. I'm 60 years old, and I am live with Chris Stone and the Deej.
Let's go.
Is that okay?
I know it's as good as it gets. Just think, if that's
and I love the Blue Parrot. I love it. I love it. I can't tell you how much I love this.
Let's get all our parrots on, and we'll make a quick pitch, and we'll send it over to the Blue Parrot people.
You bet.
You know, it really is good, isn't it?
I used it for a whole day. The battery barely ran down, dude, and I never took it off. Yeah, It's unbelievable. As a matter of fact, I got food. It was so comfortable. I got food on my mic because I forgot I had it on.
Yeah.
And it wipes clean too. So just
well,
so
they
you
give
know.
you an extra little cushion too in the thing too for
Yeah.
eventually when you really need it. But no, I'm so pleased with this thing. My friend was testing it out. Another winner was testing it out, and it does pass the flush test. You cannot hear it. Even if you flush.
That's important.
Oh,
That's an
that
important.
is huge.
Yeah,
that is so
especially
huge.
now in this Zoom world.
Oh, wow.
Listen, it's the people are back to back. See, the challenge with this new way of selling that we're doing right now, it's that you don't have to buffer in travel time anymore like you used to have to do in the sales world. And so people just make appointments back to back to back to back. Well, you really have to leave some bathroom breaks in there.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, first of all, you shut off your camera, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not an uncommon event.
Oh yeah.
Well,
and in the new app, and I know Deej, you've used it before. I don't know if you're necessarily on it a lot, but Clubhouse obviously is a huge, audio pop-in thing, and so that's what people do. They're on there for hours and hours and hours, and all of a sudden you'll just hear a toilet flush. Somebody chimed in and said they were in the bathtub. And it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But yeah, the noise cancellation on that thing is awesome. I went and I was driving and having a conversation with somebody driving 65, 70 miles an hour. Speed limit was 70. And, you normally, you've got the wind and everything and you're on the phone and you're talking really loud or whater. They had no idea I was driving because they couldn't hear.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't know. I think for salespeople, there are tools that you need in the world of sales, and one of them is nowadays is a really, really good headset. So I'm excited by that. And Pete Primeau was the winner of some of our old. How did you get your headset?
You invited everybody in the world to a webinar, and those that showed up and participated actually had the opportunity to win. Yeah. And I was so happy. And let me tell you something. If you've ever seen the Christmas Story and the father on the Christmas Story, and he runs out to get his leg lamp, that's the way I was when my blue parrot came. That excited.
Yeah, well, getting any kind of gift is good. Just get anything, getting some mail that's not necessary. And it's one of those it's old school sale tactics, or it used to be just a course of events that you would normally do. You send a thank you note, you send a card, you do something like that. Do you still do that?
Yes. As a matter of fact, during the word that we won't mention that we just kind of went through and we're starting to come out of.
Yeah.
I was really thrown for a loop because I love visiting stores. I love getting belly to belly with my customers. I love to see everything that's going on the showroom floor to the warehouse. I love it. And it's been a big part of my life for 39 years. And when that was taken away from me, I was at a loss. And I'm like, okay, let's just write down the tools that are left. And I wrote down direct mail. And then I said, handwritten thank yous, that's direct mail. Send in a print, copy of a timely article, that's direct mail. Send in an updated price list, that's direct mail. So I mailed something to my dealers for a while every week, and then I backed it down to every 2 weeks. But what I was able to do was create stronger connections with several key customers, and the market share of their mattress business shifted over to me dramatically. I mean, there was one account in particular, I had about 10% of their business, and today I have 90% out of 4 or 5 vendors. And a lot of it was just, I was touching them more. I was touching them more with texts. I was touching them more with emails. I was touching them more with phone calls. And listen, anybody out there that you're not familiar with the Deej, You've got to get his stuff on how to use the phone, because the phone makes you money, man.
Yeah,
And
I appreciate you saying that, and it's so true that basically the only thing that's changed is the delivery system of your message. So it's the same message, you provide the same service and all that stuff. It's just that one of those traditional delivery systems of belly to belly went away for a little while. Right. And so you just have to, like any Army person should know, you improvise, adapt, and overcome. And so, and those things that now that you have more time because you're not traveling, you just got to do those other things more. And by the way, another thing that people need to do more of, Chris Stone, I'm not talking to you just simply, because I'm trying to get you involved. I'm that type of guy. But is video. And if you're going to send emails, send video emails. It just works 100 times. It's like being belly to belly. Right. You can get your entire pitch out. Even if you're just going to send them, a price sheet, you have a little video that goes along with, hey, just want to let you know I got you out this price sheet. There's a couple of things you really want to notice, this and this and this. And if you do that, but I'll be here on Wednesday. I'll give you a call then, and we'll set up a time to get together. Yep. Or make an order or something like that.
Yeah, and you know what? You don't have to do it all the time. And people like you guys have a lot of customers, and you have ones that are probably more important than others, and get you more commissions or money or whatever. But you want to retain them and do everything. And so everybody's got a CRM system, or they have some way of of organizing that stuff. And people can smell automated stuff a mile away. And I have lots of automated emails that I get, but Dan, I get emails from you every once in a while, and you'll type out something that it's a personal email.
Yeah.
I don't know where those are. I guess I could search for them, but to Patrick Tinney's note right here on the screen and chiming in, thank you, Patrick, for joining us from Buckhorn. I have a handwritten note from Dan Jordan. I know, Dan, you made it a number of months ago. You said, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write out notes for people. And it was thoughtful. And I've got it right here in this drawer. And I know exactly where it is. And I know exactly the feeling I had when I opened that thing up. No, and I think this applies to everything. Like, people don't remember exactly what you said, but I remember how I felt when I opened that up. And that's what you can do as a salesperson, is to create those emotions in people and draw those out.
Yeah, that's feeling. Now, Pete, how did you get into sales to begin with?
I got into sales because I failed at being a pro football player. That's exactly how I got into sales.
About. Everybody's a bigger person than you think. You just got to ask a little question. What?
So my thing was, I wanted to be a pro football player, and after I was cut for the third time, I decided I better just take the advice that I had been given and learn how to sell. And I didn't think I was a salesman. And my ex-father-in-law, who is now in heaven, George Cooley, God bless him and God rest his soul, was a great mentor to me. And he said, Pete, you've been selling your whole life. You just didn't know it.
Oh, that's good. That's
and
right there.
And, so that's, one of my jokes, when I run into, people I went to high school with, people I went to college with, they're shocked to find out that I'm in sales, because I am a natural introvert, 100% natural introvert, would rather just go in the corner and crawl up in the fetal position. Now, I've learned how to come out of my shell, obviously, right? I wouldn't be sitting here doing this show with you. But one of the blessings that I've had as a natural introvert, my listening skills are already above average, right? And so what I had to learn was I had to learn the industry, I had to learn how to sell, and then I had to learn how to develop the confidence to come out of my shell a little bit and speak every now and again. a lot of natural born quote salespeople, they have to, if they're naturally an extrovert, they have to learn to pull it in and pull it down and kind of really listen to their prospect, and not just listen to respond, listen to understand. And they have to kind of calm down their inner dialogue. So, both can be great. Dan, you strike me as a natural extrovert, but sometimes I tell people I'm an introvert, they're like, you're not an introvert. And I'm like, I am. I truly am.
Well,
you're an extrovert, though. I
think I like attention. It's true, but I'm not a great salesperson. And I never claimed to be or expected. I'm really not. And the reason is I'm generally an agreeable person. So it's okay. You're not interested, not just I'll walk away. I'll generally do that. But what I am good at, and I think you're good at too, and you don't need to be an extrovert to be this, is to create friends from strangers, to hunt, to prospect. I literally wake up in the morning excited with the chance to meet new people. And that kind of gets me up. I was speaking with David Meltzer yesterday. By the way, we have got to get him on the show. The man's a genius. And I asked him a question. I told him a little, bit about myself. We're talking and having back. And then, so I sent him an email, a video email afterwards, thanking him for the conversation and for our talk. And he sent back one word, ethos, which is the root word from enthusiasm. And so, of course, I looked it up. It's in Latin. What does it mean? And it says, from God within. So it's like your enthusiasm, what your enthusiasm doing is giving away that godliness to others into the environment. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of my thing. I like doing that. I like being enthusiastically meeting other people. But in terms of sales, there are things much more important than skill and being an extrovert. One of them is consistency. Consistency is much more important than skills. I much rather have people, and I'm sure you coach your people too, or process is more important than skills. It's much better to talk to 10 people a day or so than to talk to 100 people one day and then feel guilty about talking to people for 2 more weeks. Right. Consistency is more important than skills. Reliability, character is more, preparedness is more important than skills. And probably the most important is attitude and energy is more important than skills. And you can do that from an extrovert perspective, or you're calling yourself an introvert perspective, but that's why you're successful. You can have all those other qualities and 0 skills and do better than the so-called natural born salesperson.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, is Pat still there? Or did he leave?
Dog's always around. What team did you play for, by the way? Did you get cut from?
Well, I didn't even quite make it that far. Let me see. Chicago Blitz is the old USFL.
Oh, wow.
The Chicago Blitz, the New England Patriots, before they were the New England Patriots. I actually went into a mini camp with them. And then there was one other, I'm trying to remember. But the Pittsburgh Maulers from the USFL. So one NFL
team. You became a power lifter, didn't you?
Yeah. So that was my midlife crisis, Dan. I couldn't afford a red convertible, so I started powerlifting when I was about 42. About 42 years old.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, I was in a conversation with Pete, Dan. I don't know if you know this, but I was in a conversation with Pete, and we started talking about podcasting. And of course, that's kind of one of my things, right? Is podcasting. But I haven't been, involved in the podcast, industry for, that many years. It's been mostly music industry. And Pete was a trailblazer when it comes to podcasting. Pete, you started podcasting in, I want to say, was it
2015.
2015. And so now, for the past 2-3 years, podcasting, so, dude was doing it back,
He was podcasting when podcasting wasn't cool.
I love that
everybody's
song.
Doing yoga now.
Song.
Everybody's into yoga. I'm not into yoga. It used to be you would make fun of people that were doing what? Yoga? Is it yogurt? You're very cultured. All that stuff. And now everybody's doing yoga. They got guys that do you ever yoga, guys? Do you do yoga, Pete Primeau?
Yeah, I do yoga. I'm a big yoga guy, actually, but I do a different version of yoga. So have you ever seen DDP Yoga? Dallas Diamond Page? Have you ever seen the ads for it? It's great
crazy
stuff.
Guy. Yeah.
It's great stuff. I do it.
It's like CrossFit. Aggressive yoga. It's aggressive relaxation.
Yeah, it is. It is. Listen, he had to find a way to work out with all his joint injuries. And a lot of us old football players and old powerlifters have, a lot of joint problems. He had to figure out a way to get the heart rate up without traumatizing the joints. And that was the thing. And all of his friends, you got to remember the whole thing about pro wrestlers is for many, many years, these guys lived on a bus together. Like they'd go from show to show to show, and they lived together in these hotels for weeks and months at a time. And they're like brothers. And so when, DDP developed that, he developed it for himself, but he had a lot of his brothers that were banged out, broken up. They were overweight, and a lot of them were addicted to opiates and stuff like that. And he has been a very positive force. And he figured out a way to get your heart rate up without traumatizing the joints. And so yes, I do yoga.
Chris Stone in high school had a joint problem, which hence the name.
Hey, just in time for the dad jokes. He's here all week.
There we go. So you do that? Chris Stone? Do you do yoga?
I haven't, but I do want to, and it, as a part of marathon training, it's really good for runners, long distance runners. And to Pete's point, it's about getting your heart rate up to, your maximum aerobic fitness level without pounding on all of your joints, which running does obviously a lot of. So.
Yeah.
But when you're doing all that stuff, Pete, when you're doing the powerlifting and all that stuff, and you say you're 60 now, but you look great, you're in good shape. Yeah. Did you have to lose weight or gain weight, or did you? I mean, because this is, in sales is a physical sport, baby. I mean, it's not like you got to be healthy. You got to be ready to rock and roll.
You do.
And it's when you can't leave that stuff at home. You take your bad health with you on the road, and it spreads out to the whole world. So how do you stay in shape?
Well, the way I stay in shape now is CrossFit and yoga, and I take a lot of long walks, and I ride my bicycle a lot. But getting back to the powerlifting thing, when I started powerlifting, I was about 240 pounds. My last meet, where I benched 705, I weighed 303 pounds that morning. And I had pretty much decided that was going to be the end of my career. I already had a really bad diagnosis on my back. And incidentally, it was nothing that I did powerlifting. I did not hurt my back powerlifting. My back problems are genetic. And when they started putting 1,000 pounds on my back for squats, it was uncovered that I have a genetic problem, weakness in my back that I had played football with at the college level, just Division III. And, thought I was going to play pro football, but didn't quite get that far. And, it's a really cool thing, unanswered prayers, right? Because I wanted to play pro football so bad, Dan, you can't even begin to imagine how bad I wanted it. And, my dad, before he passed away, he said to me, and my dad died at 51, and I was 26 when he passed. But he said to me before he passed, "I'm so glad you never made pro football." And I said, "Why?" He said, well, I watched this film, and it was all the surgeries that Dick Buckus had and some of the old time players. And he goes, Pete, you are 5'10", 235. You would never back down from a fight. And if you had really stayed with it, you would have made it, and you would have gotten the crap beat out of you. And, those guys are so big and so fast. Yeah. And, I was a defensive tackle that ran a 4.5 and bench 480 pounds in college. So I was faster than a lot of running backs. 4.5 is faster than most running backs in Division III.
That's unbelievable. See, it's Pete Primeau.
And he's got me pumped up right now. So you were at 300 pounds at 5'10".
Yes.
So
way too much.
Yeah. So back when you were playing, what was your playing weight? Was it
235? No, 235.
As a defensive tackle, you were at 235.
Yeah, but I ran a 4.5 40.
Right.
So I wasn't hanging around. Plus, I benched 480, so I was strong. I could take people on physically, but I chose to run around. I would run around blocks most of the time, unless I was just in a super aggressive mood, which happened on occasion when I was playing football and I just wanted to pound somebody. But
did they try to make you convert to another position, like a linebacker or something, where your size was more sort of in line with all the other players, or was
linebackers just big?
Well, that's a great question, Chris. So I went in after my freshman year and I said, Coach, I think I want to go up to linebacker. And he said, Pete, if you want to go to linebacker, that's fine. He goes, but going in the next year, you are going to be our starter as a sophomore at defensive tackle. You are slated to be our starter. It's yours to lose. If you want to go to linebacker, as far as I'm concerned, you're third or fourth team. Now, we both know you're a great player, and we both know you'll probably rise to first team, but there's no guarantees. We have great linebackers right now. I would prefer, for the sake of the team, that you stay at defensive tackle, but if you're passionate about it and you want to go to linebacker, you can. Now, how is that for a great manager, Dan? Yeah. He really... I felt so ashamed of myself for being so selfish for wanting to go to linebacker. I just went right back to defensive tackle and played defensive tackle like a linebacker.
That's awesome. So that's, you always get little nuggets from these whenever you talk to somebody, which is why I always encourage people. We met on LinkedIn to reach out to people and talk to them, because what you just mentioned right there about him, that's a perfect lesson. That guy's not a manager. That guy's a leader.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
A manager would say, no, we need you here. The leader guides you. And as a salesperson, that's where you are. You have to guide your prospect, guide your customer into making the right decision for themselves.
Yeah.
And if you can add some incentive on the back end, that's all well and good. But how, when you get to the level of sports where you were and the level you are with your business, do you have, are there routines? Are there schedules? Did you wake up early? What's your calendar like when you're really pushing it, trying to make it at the top level?
Well, when you asked me if I could do the show, I almost said no, but I looked at my schedule and it was open. And I said to myself, my schedule's never open. Why is my schedule open? Well, it's open because it's my wife's birthday.
Oh my God.
So anyway, so my schedule is basically, I wake up at 4 a.m. I work out at 5, and I probably go to bed by 9 or 10. Sometimes up later. If you guys ever see me on some kind of social media later than that, that means that I went to bed even earlier than you think, and I got up and I couldn't go back to bed. So I just checked real quick and made a comment and went right back to bed, because I am not a night owl at all. So the way that happened, Dan, is I remember my father saying to me, Pete, you can be as successful as you want in this life, but we're not the Rockefellers. You were not born with a silver spoon in your mouth. You're going to have to work very, very hard. And you can have anything you want, but you're going to have to work for it. So the reason the 4 o'clock came about is it's my way of outworking my competition.
Yeah, isn't that great? And you feel so powerful. I got up before this morning too. I just think it's really important to kind of study your calendar, to know exactly where it is and what you should be doing, and finding the empty space. I mean, you want to find the devil? The devil's in the empty space. The devil's in those places where you're like, what am I going to do right now? You will find something to do. It's normally a waste of time. Time management is more like managing your activities, because everything's an activity. It's either a money-producing activity or a potential money-producing activity, or it's not. But, sleeping is an activity.
Yeah.
And you get to decide how much you're going to do that and how much you're going to do other things. And if people would just learn, and you see, the reason why you're able to rise to the occasion, to the top level of whatever you do, Pete Primeau, is because you are in control of your activities, of your production. And it's very important right now because, like here, we're talking like this. And I think everybody out there kind of knows everything already, or has the ability to find something out. We used to be, I remember a long time I heard the story. You probably know it, Pete, because we have the same kind of old sales stories. Henry Ford was brought before Congress because he wanted to do something or change the tax laws or whatever he was. And there were all these congressmen there, and they were kind of needling him. Hey, listen, what do you know? You didn't even go to college. You have no degrees. Who are you to tell us what to do? He goes, how do you even know how to do this or to get here? And Henry Ford famously said, I don't need to know anything. He goes, what I do know is how to get the information that I need to do everything. He goes, on my desk, I have 18 little switches. Those switches are attached to other people, to the experts in every one of their fields. I don't need to know anything. Well, in today's day and age, we all have that. We all have the internet. There's nothing that I can't figure out or you can't figure out how to do. And so the people that rise to the occasion right now and succeed in this world are people that can use, like you, the time that they have on new delivery systems, on new forms of messages, on new ways of getting their ideas out there, because the skill or the knowledge now is completely commoditized.
Yeah, yeah.
There are tons of people smarter than me, and tons of people wiser than me, but I can access every one of them, just like I can access, and that's why your customers.
I disagree. I know a guy that wrote this book, Sales Proverbs, Wisdom of the Ages, and I believe it's you, Dan Jordan.
Yeah.
And
my biggest fan.
This is an amazing book. Everybody should get this book. I read it every day. I just read a page or two. There's about, 10 to a dozen nuggets in there, and one of them usually sticks with me throughout the day. And then I think back and I go, I remember when I read that at 4 o'clock this morning, and here it is, and the lesson is right there for me.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. And there's a couple of other books, and I'm not a big reader, Pete, and obviously that's not meant to go cover to cover, like you said, but not every book has to be, take hours and hours and hours for you to read. Yeah. The ones that you use mostly, for me is that another book by Ryan Stanley, where it's just like, it doesn't even matter where you crack it open to, you're going to find something that you can take and use every day with that book. But something you said, Pete, that resonated with me. And, as Dan was talking through how we have access to all these things and the internet, and we have all this other stuff. But I think people need to hear your story, because you talked about the hard work that's involved in that. And too many people, they'll see these headlines that say, here's how you get $1 million in 4 weeks with these 7 steps. And, like all of these things. And they think that, oh, boom, I'm going to smash that and I'm going to get clicked and you're in somebody's funnel. And it turns out it's hard work. And all those things are distractions. But you had to work hard to get to where you're at, and you weren't in control of whether or not you were going to be a football player. I mean, you you did as much as you could, but in the end, it was like you really weren't in control of that. And I love your story because, when did you write your book? Because I do want to touch on that, the Sell a Million book. And where was that in your storyline? When did you write that book?
So I wrote it in 2014. It was published in 2015. And I cannot believe, I can't believe how well this thing has aged. I was telling people to do podcasts back then. And I had my own podcast back then. Quick story from college. So I was always very hyper focused. I wanted to be a pro football player. And my sophomore year, I had a really great year, but I was plagued by injuries, and I probably played half the time that I should have. And I didn't even make all conference. And it was a big blow to my gigantic ego at that age. And I went to my coach and I said, Coach, why wasn't I all conference? And I specifically mentioned one of my teammates. I go, I'm 10 times better than this guy. He's all conference. He goes, you are 10 times better than that guy. And he goes, don't misunderstand. He deserved to be all conference, but so do you. And Pete, you would have been all American, not all conference if you were in there all the time. He goes, you're the best. Just like the Deej says, you're the best, but you have to play more downs. And so here's just a partial list of some of the injuries that I had that year. I broke my ankle. I played with a broken ankle. I dislocated my elbow. I played with a dislocated elbow. I broke both hands. I played with the two broken hands. I separated my shoulder. I played through that. So I work out really, really hard between my sophomore and my junior year, and I am a beast. I come back and I'm a freaking specimen for a Division III football player. And I run the 4.5 40. I'm benching 480 pounds raw as a junior in college. And what happens almost like the first set of downs from scrimmage, when we're going live, I pull my groin. I don't know if you guys have ever had a pulled groin, but it hurts, and it hurts bad, but it's playable. But the way they tape you around your opposite hip, so it reduces the amount of motion that you have. So I said to myself, this is never happening to me again. I'm never going to miss another play because of an injury. F it. That's what I said. F it. I don't care. You seen the honey badger videos? Yeah. Honey badger's a wimp compared to what I was. All right. So the next day or two, I pull the other groin. Now I'm taped up like a mummy, and I'm running like Minnie Mouse. And the coaches are begging me to pull me out. And I said, no, I'm not coming out. I'm staying in, and it doesn't matter. And I accumulated my injuries throughout the year, but I kept playing. And at the end of that, I was very frustrated, and I was going to quit. And this goes to your point, Dan, that you made so well. I was ready to quit. I had given every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears that I could possibly give anything. And I said, if this is it, I had 3 sacks in one game, 2 sacks in a bunch of games. And the coaches were pulling me out and giving me rest because we were a powerhouse team. My 4-year career record on varsity was 35-3. We lost 3 games. One was in 3 or 4 games. 3 of them were in 2 of them were in national. No, 3 of them were in national playoffs, and one was in a conference championship game. So we barely ever lost. I mean, literally won almost every game that we played in my 4 years. So they did a good job of managing me, but I'm at the end of the year. I didn't get the accolades that I thought I should have gotten. And I was broken. I was literally broken. And if you're a salesperson out there and you've given everything you had, and if you're a business owner out there and you've given everything that you can give, and you feel like you're broken, I want you to hang in there just a little longer. I'm going to tell you why. When I was ready to hang it up, and I made the decision, I'm done. I didn't tell anyone. I told my fiance, but I did not tell anybody. I was done. I kept it to myself. And then on Thanksgiving Day, I hear a knock at my dorm room. And it was my friend Khalid from Iran. And he didn't speak very good English. And he was crying. And I'm like, something happen to his family? Is there some more trouble in Iran? What's going on? And he couldn't speak. He was so excited. And so he pulls out the paper and it says Kodak All-American Division II and Division III. And I played for a Division III school. First team All-American Pete Primeau. Oh. And I said, my gosh. And then a week later, I was the most valuable player in the conference. And all the accolades came in after that. So
that is a terrific story to hang in there. And
you,
all that.
I have you gotta hang in there because you don't know when it's going to break.
Yes. I always told, I'll tell your story from now on, but I had always told my, my kids, it was, when you have a pickle jar and you try to open the pickle jar and you can't, and you do, and then you give up, and you do, and you give up, whatever.
I'm Pete Primeau. That doesn't happen to me.
Well, when you're a kid, so you go there and you do it. And I remember I told my son Matthew, I said, Matthew, as soon as you're about to quit, hold on for 2 more seconds. And it's always those last 2 seconds that open the jar. It's amazing. He gets mad at me because I heard him tell it to his friend because his friend was trying to do it. And he says, as soon as you're about to quit. And then he looked at me because he doesn't want to learn anything from me. So it works it. But it's so much better to be a Kodak All-American second and third team than the pickle jar. So you beat my pickle jar story there, Pete Primeau.
Listen, I just think it's really, my biggest account that I ever opened. I literally called the guy that gave me the lead and I said, I've been calling this guy for a year and a half and I'm sick and tired of this SHIT. I said, this is BS. I call this guy every week. I email him every week. I text him. I harass this dude. He once in a blue moon, he gets on and he says just a little bit longer and then nothing happens. It was about 2 years before I got that business. And that business led to over $1 million of commissions over a 7-year period. And the businesses that sprouted off of that business were worth over $5 million in commissions.
And I can't think of a better way to end this event that we had with Pete Primeau than that. Stick to it, and it keeps on happening. It's the greatest business in the world, isn't it, Pete?
It is. If you were speaking to a 21-year-old who was 22-year-old who's just leaving college, and by leaving college I mean leaving his bedroom where he's taking YouTube classes and about to graduate, what advice would you give him? And that'll be our send-off. And
what business would you suggest that he goes into?
Listen, you know what I'm going to say because, even though I didn't perceive myself to be a salesperson when I had been one my entire life and just didn't realize it, there's nothing better than the sales business. The sales business is one that is literally unlimited, and you can change people's lives for the better, and you can change your life for the better. And the beautiful thing is you can do it your way. So if you see a stereotype that you don't like about salespeople, and that's why I didn't want to be a salesperson, I just said, I don't want to be a salesperson. I don't. And George, my first mentor, said, Pete, I'm not that salesperson. I'm a salesperson with integrity. I'm a professional. You don't have to be that slippery, salesy type salesperson stereotype that everybody has come to hate. You can be authentic, genuine, always do the right thing. If you go on my website, you'll see we always do the right thing, even when it costs us money. There have been times where my mattress companies have delivered the mattresses to the wrong dealer, and they couldn't wait to have it picked up to the next week. And when I had a van, I would go there and I would pick those mattresses up and deliver them. One time, right after I had a double back fusion, my wife made the delivery because I couldn't drive. She drove in a snowstorm from Cleveland to Buffalo, New York with a load of mattresses for one of my dealers that needed it desperately. And you know what? I didn't even ask her to do it. And I was never so proud of myself as a leader of my company that she had shared my values so intently that she just looked at me and she said, I'm going to take them.
That's a good woman.
Yeah.
And I think the reason is probably Pete Primeau, because you're such a good man. So I'm going to finish with just one question.
I'm a lucky man.
How many groins does a man have in the first place? He keeps on.
2, right and a left.
All right. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching. You're the best. I'm the Deej. Go get him today, guys.
Go get him.